Hello, welcome to the Health In Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. You've come to the right place to tune in and participate with your comments and questions. Love is the greatest healer of all, but sometimes, in order to change our emotions, we must take action in other spheres of our lives. We speak with experts in alternative and complementary health fields and hope you will benefit in some small or great way. Remember, you are wherever your thoughts are. Make sure your thoughts are where you want to be. I think we're live. Today is July 21, 2014. It's a Monday, and I hope everybody is up and going. For some reason, if you're watching the show via nissancommunications.com, you will see a short little advertisement which supports and sponsors the show and gets it going. So that's what I was watching, something about drinking alcohol. I think that's not part of your healthcare portfolio. But
I never leave out the wine. I think wine is good for you.
Okay, so the resveratrol is a different thing,
Right.
so that's okay. The grape plant is wonderful, and the grape leaves, and the the fruit of the grapevine, and the skin has all those wonderful properties. I want to thank Amnon for getting in with us at the last moment. Whoever was taking a shower or getting a booster seat or whatever they were doing, we were hanging in here, and appreciate everybody sticking with us today. So we will be talking about important issues, and these issues are an investment in ourselves, in our lives, in our health, in our financial well-being. I know that everybody is wanting to see what's happening in the world news today. It is really traumatic to and impress upon our whole being. And so we need to take a step back today and do something for our own personal health. We're going to be talking about the health investment portfolio, and our special guest is Dr. Nancy Gahles, and she has been an advisor for over 30 years, with over 30 years experience, and she is a consultant to many people. She has an internationally recognized as an expert in the field of integrative healthcare, as a doctor of chiropractic, certified classical homeopath, ordained interfaith minister in family practice since 1979. We need more people like her who advocate for us in the legislatures, chores, and in healthcare bills and other parts of the legal system. She's an advocate for choice and for access to integrative healthcare providers, their services, and products. As an ardent advocate for personal empowerment for you, the consumer, via her presentation, she was on TEDx, and there is a link on Homeopathy World Community with a copy of her talk that you can watch. She's also a freelance journalist and an author, the author of The Power of Self-Care, a common sense guide to your wellness solution. And Nancy, I think you've written another book as well.
This is the ebook, The Health Investment Portfolio, a common sense guide to health and wealth. And I do have an upcoming book, The Hidden Faces of PTSD. We'll talk about that at another time.
Oh, cool. We will just keep learning from you. So, as the creator and author of Health Investment Portfolios, she's past president of National Center for Homeopathy, a whole gamut of lists of committee activities that she has done, and we could just praise her on and on. So we're going to get started. We do have a PowerPoint. PowerPoint slide number 1 introduces Dr. Nancy Gahles and a common sense guide to health and wellness. Nancy, I put up a little on slide number 2. I put up a little quote, one from you and one from Thomas Edison. So I hope everybody's wearing a light bulb. The first one is integrative healthcare is no longer a trend. It is happening now. So don't wait. Get in the stream of things, be part of it. And this is what we're going to learn about today. And Thomas Edison wrote, "The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of human frame, in diet and in the cause." And I want to highlight the word prevention of disease. And, for those people who are going through health challenges, as I am myself, I think medicine is an important part of our system, and we have to look at it strategically, logically, rationally, what is the best for each and every one of us. And I'm going to let you take it away now for the rest of the show, Nancy, and tell Amnon, please, when to go to the next slide.
Now, I don't have the slide coming up in front of me here.
Okay, I'll let you know. I'll kind of tell him when to do
All
this.
right, I had it on this computer, but I didn't want to interfere the program. So, okay. Yeah, so what I love so much about health investment portfolios is that it is a common sense way to invest in yourself. And we are all very, very familiar with what it's like to invest in our financial world, right? We make a 401k, we invest for our children's college, we invest to buy a home, we invest to buy a car, but we don't invest in healthcare in the way that we need to in order to access the right types of healthcare that are unique to our own needs. So as you know, Debbie, everything is not medicine. Everything's not cured by medicine. In fact, not so many things are. And we have large gaps in the healthcare system right now. So what I have done is productize this, if you will, put it into an ebook. It comes actually as a chapter from my first book, The Power of Self-Care. And it teaches you how to invest in yourself with the exact same model as you would if you were developing a 401k. So we have products and services. We do a risk assessment to tell you how, what your landscape is. I look at all of that. Like you mentioned, you have a healthcare challenge. When you have a challenge right in the moment, then what you have to do is look at your portfolio and decide, do you need to take some withdrawals or do you need to keep depositing? Where, for instance, do you need to do that? Now, again, I'm not sure on the slide what we're up to. I can go to each slide if you want me to.
Let me tell you. Amnon, the first slide number 3 is empowering people. It's just an introduction to Nancy. And then slide number 4 is a diagram which shows short-term investment.
So let me talk about that for a minute. So what is a health investment portfolio? Some people may not have any investment portfolio at all, and that's for your financial future. So they may not know, but most people do. And so a health investment portfolio is the portfolio, which is a term used in finances to describe a purposeful collection of investments that reflect your lifestyle goals and a risk-limiting strategy. So creating an investment portfolio for your healthcare involves just the same things. If you're looking at the slide that shows a short-term pie chart, that is a short-term investment model. So the products are going to be these classes. These are asset allocations. So these are the classes you're going to invest in. So general health is your short-term investment. Health is your daily level of energy. And health is the state of absence of disease or symptoms that allows you to live your life unencumbered by physical, psychological, or emotional burdens. And so in that space, you're going to invest in the very first thing, breathing. Now, why is breathing important? I'm sure, Debbie, you've had many shows on breathing and meditation and that techniques of how to quiet and calm your system, how to connect with your inner source so that you can have clarity in your life. When you're dealing with short-term healthcare challenges, then you want short-term investments. So every single day, your daily energy of health your daily level of health and your daily energy level is going to be fed, if you will, by your deposits. You're going to make short-term deposits. Just imagine your body like a little ATM machine. You're going to make little deposits each day in breathing. So when you wake, nice deep breathing, center yourself, create in your mind's eye what you're going to do, go through your body in a body map way, see what needs to be paid attention to, listen to all the voices, all the body parts, all the emotions speaking, all the thoughts speaking, and tell everyone, take a seat at the table and we're going to hear you all. And you keep breathing. As you breathe, your central nervous system quiets. You bring into engagement your parasympathetic nervous system, which puts the brakes on the sympathetic nervous system, which can be in overdrive. And so I call this being in a state of grace. And there you start your day. Then you move into meaningful work. What am I going to do today that has meaning in my life? If you're engaged in an occupation that's not really your passion, you have to derive meaning in another way. And you must at all times always do something that is meaningful with your life each and every day, even if it's one small act of kindness. Then we move to meditation, which a lot of people, oh, I don't like to meditate. I don't want to meditate. I can't meditate. They find it very difficult to just quiet their mind. And so at first blush, when you want to begin to make deposits in meditation, what I always suggest is go into nature. Sit by the beach and just watch the waves roll in. That's a meditation. Or lie on the ground, feel the earth beneath you, and watch the clouds go by. That's a meditation. I often do that with my children when they were young to quiet them down and to get them to understand that it's very, very important to connect with your inner being every day for some period of time. Some people call that prayer, and there are organized structures and services for this type of thing. And then you can take it to any other level where you do that. But meditation simply means an activity where you clear your mind, body, and emotions of any collection of tension or thoughts and just be present with yourself. You can make that deposit in 30 seconds, 1 minute, an hour, whatever suits your needs for that day. And that's what short-term again means, hourly or by the day, daily deposits. And then exercise, of course, we know what exercise is, any kind of exercise. I'm going to go through that a little quickly because we know that diet is very important as well. So each day you're going to look at your lifestyle. What am I doing today? How am I living my life? Is it a balanced lifestyle? Am I depositing too much or am I withdrawing too much? How's the level of my balance today? Work-life balance is what some people call it. And at the end of the day, we go to sleep. Sleep is the most number one restorative practice you can have. Sleep nourishes, sleep returns you to right function. Many hormones are stimulated at night that we need to repair and to restore ourselves. So that's what I call daily deposits. Now, why we need a health portfolio about our short-term investments is because sometimes we can't do some of these things on our own, and we need to invest in it. So, for instance, maybe you need to take a meditation class. Maybe you need an exercise class. Maybe you need a personal instructor. Maybe you need a lifestyle coach. Maybe you need something to do with your relationships, some therapy, something in that regard. And so when we think of that, those things are not covered by our insurance policy. So these are things you would have to pay for yourself, even though they are health products. So that's what I call short-term investments. I would look at your lifestyle and say, okay, you can't do this on your own. You must invest in a personal trainer. You must invest in a gym membership, etc. And then we put that into your budget. What is the
I'm
next
listening
slide?
closely.
All right,
But
darling. What's
I'm
the next
listening
slide?
closely. It's really great. I'm typing some little notes on the comment section because it seems to me that if you invest in a lot of the other items on the wheel, then the sleep will actually come on its own. So if you invest in the exercise, meditation, meaningful relationships, and diet, one of the things that's so highly needed today is sleep for the restoration, and insomnia is a major issue. So I think that that will come naturally when you invest in all the others. All of these things are really interrelated.
Right. Because
I
why?
love this wheel. It's
Because we
really
are
great.
a hologram, aren't we? We're all one hologram, actually. So when one thing comes into, when the body, mind, emotion, spirit, the organism, as we say in homeopathy, comes into its right rhythm, into its equilibrium, everything comes into balance. So maybe you're tweaking the sleep, or maybe you're tweaking the diet, but yes, whichever one is throwing off the symptom or needs more deposits into that particular asset allocation, then you will find what we call a return on your investment. And that means you're going to get a product back. You're going to reap the benefits of that investment in all areas. That's called abundance. It's called health. It's called wealth.
Right. When we think about a healthcare portfolio, and you're talking financial, and I think this is so important as we're young. People who are young really need a talk about looking at the investment in the what is it, the everyday wheel,
Short-term
the short
investments.
term investment, because it builds day after day, month after month, year after year,
That's
until
right.
you end up with crash and burn. And so you want to prevent that by the daily input into that bank of energy.
Absolutely right. That is absolutely right. You know as well as I do that we are in a disease care model of a healthcare system. It's not a healthcare system, it's a chronic disease management system, and it's built on crisis intervention. So we don't go to a doctor and say, hey, I'm feeling great, just checking in and I'm well. No, we only go when we're sick. So that is what we are trying to do here, is to change the consciousness, the cultural paradigm of how we don't go there. And one of the very benefits of the Affordable Care Act in having the state exchanges begin to function is that while we do have lower premiums for our health insurance, we have higher deductibles. And so with this high deductible now, they have to be attached to a health savings account by law. And so you put your money up to the amount of the amount you're allowed to put into the health savings account per year. Most of the health savings account deductibles are anywhere from $2,500 to $6,000 a year. So you're allowed to put, I think, up to $5,000 and some odd per family per year into your health savings account. Now, this is a money market account. It's just like any other investment model. It's a money market account that makes money. You make money on the money you invest. However, it's there for you to use for your health care. In this regard, you have to use that money prior to the time you go for medical care. Or if you have to go into the medical system, you're going to have to use your own money first to pay for that before your insurance will pay its share. So however you slice it, you're going to be using your money to pay for your health care or your crisis management care. So my advice
Right.
as an
So I was
investment,
going to ask that.
yeah,
So,
mhm.
right, I'm calling, and I'm hearing perhaps you call our medical insurance crisis management care, really, where you're not really getting preventative medicine. Will you be getting your medication covered when you do your medical insurance? Will the investment will it cover major things like surgery and everything that costs so many thousands of dollars?
Yes, every plan, I'll talk specifically to the state exchanges. Every plan on the exchange, it's a bronze, silver, platinum, gold type of, metal model. And it goes from the lowest premium, have a higher deductible. However, all of the plans after the deductible and the varying copays do cover the basic same things. You have to have what's called an essential health benefits package in every policy. So that after you have the deductible met, and after then there will be a copay, a cost sharing. Sometimes it's 50% of everything up to $10,000. And so you're always going to have some form of cost sharing. There are no plans anymore that have zero deductible and cover 100% of anything you do. That does not exist. So either you have a health savings account or you're going to be paying that money yourself. Either way, always and forever, you're going to have some cost sharing for your health expenses. So what you want to be mindful of is the best way to do is to preview that consciously and say, oh, that's right. I'm not going to be bankrupt because I didn't have $10,000 for a deductible when I had that car accident or when I had to have that surgery. You're going to have an account with money invested in it should that eventuality arise. And that's emergency speaking. But in a conscious, responsible way, you're also going to use that money now for health promotion, prevention. That's what being healthy is about. That's what investing in yourself is about, so that you can yield a healthy return on your investment. That means you pay in, put deposits in. You have a model where you're going to the chiropractor, you're going to a massage therapist, which, by the way, isn't just for a birthday present. Massage has very real therapeutic value that we should tap into every day. You may be putting that down. I like to go every 3 months. I like to go every 2 months. And you start to look at those investments. Chiropractic care is the same way. That's a natural preventive. We have a spine, we have a body, and believe me, we misuse our bodies. And mechanically, we're sitting all the time. That's a whole nother show about what that's about. But it's very important to keep an alignment. So you're going to have to, sometimes the insurance will only pay for 6 visits in a whole year. And they'll pay a portion and your copay will be $50. So you're going to want to look at that and say, now, if I want to avoid that horrible sciatic attack I had last winter, I'm going to now look at a wellness program for myself. I'm going to go to the chiropractor once a month. That's 12 visits out of the year. That will cost me well, let's just say $100 a month. So you're going to say, $1,200. And then you put that into your investment model and it's in your health savings account. So you can also, right, so the health savings account, chiropractic, you can also take out. Acupuncture, the same thing. And so there's lots of ways that you can invest, that you have to be proactive so that you know you're saving for your future. So now you're right about the young people. They don't get the idea why they need insurance because they're healthy, but they do love this idea. And when coupled with the 401k, and they say to me, I have a 401k, I'm putting this much in, I'll have this much by the time I'm 50. Oh, I'm going to have $1 million by the time this time and I can retire. I said, good, but how are you going to be if you have diabetes? How are you going to be if you're obese? How are you going to be if you have so much stress from that job that you have high blood pressure or any other anxiety disorders? So these are the things you want to start looking at now. So what I do with the children, I call them, well, they're not now, they're all grown up. My community, I have been here for 30 years, so I know all the kids that are now getting jobs and looking at their 401k, and we're putting this into play for them, and they get it. And they know that they want to say, I'm going to put this much in, I'm going to put this much in, and then I'm going to use it for X, Y, and Z because I want to be healthy. I don't want to just be a millionaire when I'm 55. I want to be able to walk onto that boat. I want to be able to play with my grandchildren. I want to walk around the block. I want to have endurance and strength and physical vigor. I want to be healthy at that time as well.
Maybe we should be looking at that long-term investment chart. That's what you were just really talking about, the end result of investing in the short-term investments will bring you to the long-term result.
Right. So if we invest in daily health matters every day, and our ROI every day is energy and a level of health and well-being, that's great. what do we want at the end? Not even, you can start withdrawing on some of your long-term investments as we go along if you need them, as your health landscape changes. We do asset allocation all the time, every quarter, just like you would with your regular money, financial portfolio. So the long-term investment model is harmony. Harmony. Being in harmony is called quality of life. Harmony is that state of well-being that represents your sense of inner peace. And so harmony is the state of being that allows that whole organism to work together to access the higher purpose of our existence. And that is what we do when we invest in the long term. We're investing in things which are short-term investments as well, if you look at them. But mostly, this is what you're going to expect later on after you've had the right diet, the right exercise, the right relationship, meaningful work, etc. You're going to be well, wellness. You're going to have health. You're going to have focus. Focus and clarity are very important, especially as we age. You know, there's a cognition diminution, we call it. There are some factors of stress that have been high cortisol for so long that we lose some of our ability to stay in the present moment. We become scattered. Stress does that to you. So we want to know that we have focus and clarity of thought, being able to make decisions easily, being peaceful with your life, being at peace. I really don't know many people who are at peace. I love your byline. You always say peace on earth, Debbie, and it's so true. But what does that really mean? It's a state of inner harmony. It's a state where we can feel comfortable with whatever happens, that we can field the rights and the wrongs, the challenges, as you say, that we're
Right.
resilient. And that's what a state of harmony is. Harmony, right? Everybody's playing in the band. And when one chord strikes, the other ones come into harmony. When you take one by itself, it doesn't necessarily make the same beautiful music as when you've got the stomach, the liver, and the brain working together. It has a different sound, a different quality to your life. And I hope that quality is joy, joyfulness, the joy of being alive in every moment. Certainly, we can look back at our portfolio and back at our risk assessment, look back at our healthcare landscape and say, wow, that looks bad. I'm not going to have enough. I won't be healthy enough. But if you really stay in the present moment and focus on the joy of this moment, you can find that gratitude and the goodness in everything that has happened to bring you to that moment. And so that's what I think that your long-term ROI should look like.
Right. So I wanted to also mention that, as my byline says, peace on earth and homeopathy heals, that the investment in the consciousness, the thought, and the communication of those three little words, peace on earth, at a time when we are at war within ourselves, with others, in our community, in our home, in our nation, around the world, that reminding ourselves that our end goal is to create that peace in the world. I think it's important that we bring that consciousness to light today and every day, in every moment. I have somebody on my Facebook stream who is putting up disaster images that are, kind of rip at your soul and don't make you feel good. And I think in a way it is harmful to see too many of these images. And I think it's preferable to imagine peaceful resolutions so that it can come to fruition. I'm just bringing that in as my own philosophy, and maybe you can integrate that into slide number 6 about charting the ROI, return on investment.
Well, I certainly,
Go
yes, and I
ahead.
will. And you're exactly keyed in, and we call that positivity resonance, because what you're feeling is exactly what you should be feeling. And what we call that is doing a risk assessment so that you can design your own recession proof strategies. That means, who am I in this world? What are my triggers? So, for instance, looking, there's war going on all the time, forever, always has been, hopefully not always will be. It is human nature and appears to be the course of history. We have our own inner dangers and inner wars going on also, as you said, how we talk to ourselves, self-criticism, self-judgment, holding resentment and guilt. These are our own little wars inside. So this is what I call your risk assessment. These are your health risk assessments. So you know for sure, and this goes to the basis of my next book, The Hidden Faces of Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. And that is, what is my risk assessment? I know, and I'm very susceptible to looking at images of war. I know if they're played over and over, I'm going to start to feel bad, feel nervous about life, feel unsafe in my environment, feel hopeless about the future, feel many, many of these feelings. And so that's how you develop your recession proof portfolio, because you say, that's a challenge for me. So what I'm going to do and invest in the short term now is, I'm not going to watch those shows. And if it does happen to come on, I'm going to change the vision in my mind. I'm going to create positive emotions, positive thoughts. I'm going to see images like the one I saw in a poster with the gun and daisies were coming out of it instead of bullets. And so that's Barbara Fredrickson's work on positive emotions, and it's the work I've done for many, many years with my patients, called guided imagery techniques of how do you name it and reframe it. Name that experience and then reframe it. There are studies just came out from the Boston Marathon bombing that showed that children who watched it, who observed it, and who watched it over and over on TV had PTSD. They had signs of PTSD like attention deficit disorder, attention hyperactivity, return to bedwetting at night, images that keep repeating create a post-traumatic stress situation, whether it was your own personal experience or just viewing that. Now, we saw that on 9/11 when the towers were going down over and over and over. And I see it here in my neighborhood after Superstorm Sandy. I had a patient, as a matter of fact, a little boy come to me. The mother didn't want to put him on Ritalin, but the school wanted to because he wasn't paying attention and they thought he had ADHD. And I asked him, he said, "Oh, Dr. Nancy, I can't concentrate in class. I can't listen because I keep remembering having to climb up on the kitchen counters when the flood was coming." So, these things do impact us. We must remember that we can change that. So that's your risk factor. You say, that is a factor for me. I've got to invest in. So, of course, I would invest now immediately in a homeopathic constitutional consultation and work with the fear and anxiety in this child, which I have done. So that is one place where that will come up. And you say, let me look at your portfolio. Let's reallocate our assets now, because I see this present situation of war is creating flashbacks or a problem for you. Let's see what that's about and what's your risk factors for that repeating, and let's make an investment there.
Okay. I'll just review on the slides with Amnon. Slide number 6 was charting the return on investment is assess the yield from an investment. I wrote, a performance measure used to evaluate the efficiency of an investment or to compare the efficiency of a number of different investments to calculate ROI, the benefit or return of an investment is divided by the cost of the investment. The result is expressed as a percentage or a ratio. Now, when we're talking about a financial portfolio of mutual funds or something, it's one thing. But when you talk about health, there's that commercial that your health is priceless. So your investment in your health over the course of your lifetime, you really, how do you weigh that? And I don't know how you would do that, except know it is the most important thing in your life.
So when people come to me for as a portfolio advisor, I look at what their risk assessments were when we developed the portfolio and where they are now. Let's take this example of this child, for instance. Anxieties, different situations. We invested, let's say, $400 in a homeopathic consultation. And now he comes to me and says, wonderful, so much better, no problem anymore. We also went to a cognitive behavioral therapist and learned coping skills, talked about patterns of behavior, what to look for. We put that money in. That was great. That's your return on your investment. It's called health. Did you get a dividend? Did you reap a benefit from it? Was it quantifiable? Is there a difference? So now I'm going to reallocate those assets. I'm going to say, okay, now we know that he may not need to see the cognitive behavioral therapist anymore, but he will like to let's do a quarterly check-in with the homeopath, right? And so you measure it by return on your investment in terms of productivity, symptoms, energy levels, depression, health factors.
Right. And for a couple more examples, when you're investing in your children, for instance, there are special programs that may cost up to thousands of dollars. But if you're improving their mental capacity, their skills, their development, in the long run, you're going to prevent them from, let's say, getting into trouble or not being able to keep up with their classmates and functioning in a way that they can contribute to society and find a good job and find earnings for themselves, or be in a social setting that is comfortable and, like you said, prevent depression, or perhaps even learn so many great skills that they have at their disposal, high self-esteem. So it prevents something like PTSD or other kinds of personality disorders just by investing in your children when they are young.
Well, we see this all the time, Deb, and you're exactly right. We see this in the autistic spectrum group, which is burgeoning now. I think 1 in 37 in New Jersey. Children have some form of developmental delays. And these are not addressed for the large part by medical care at all. And so these families spend huge amounts of money on complementary and alternative therapies. Some trying some, investigation-wise. What I do in my portfolio is I invest products and services that have a reputation, that have some actual validity to them, so that we try not to, waste our money on things that aren't meant for us particularly. But yeah, this is an area exactly where you develop quality of life. That's just exactly it. Any of these interventions that return you to equilibrium in your own body, mind, emotion, spirit, that give you a measure of health, of right functioning, will exactly do what you said originally. One thing will spin you back to everything else. You'll have meaningful relationships. You'll be able to choose. You will have clarity and focus, the ability to pick right relationships. You'll know what that looks like. You'll be healthy in body, mind, and spirit. So yes, your long term, you will be a person in society who contributes their best to society.
Wonderful. So that's really setting them up for the good health, which is the end. Slide number 7, which is the long-term investment in self-care yields a better health. Okay, slide number 8 says risk assessment. As your health changes with age and circumstances, so will your areas of investment. Effective risk assessment provides a mechanism for identifying your health assets. I think that's somewhat self-explanatory. As we age, we have different needs. On slide number 9, the health investment portfolio models, you have their young, healthy person. You know what that says, Nancy?
Yes, yes, yes. So that's just going about what we're saying now, about when they're young and they're healthy. What do we want them to invest in? Character development. You want to teach them the right thing, do the right thing. What are virtues? What are respecting others? I had one sign in my children's rooms: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And what I found in bringing them up with, I always said, how would you like that if it were done to you? That's all I really ever had to say. Would you like that if it were you? And that was all. The answer is always no. You wouldn't like
Yeah,
that. You
yeah, you
wouldn't
were
like
asking
it.
them something.
And so, you want to build character. That's an investment. That's an investment that the mother and father make, the parents make, and then they teach the children that so that they choose, as we said, healthy relationships. You're going to choose someone like you with those same values, with the same model. My daughter is now in love and going to be engaged shortly. And her boyfriend told me the other night, he is choosing her for many reasons, one of which is her family, that her family values are of the highest quality that he would like to emulate, that he also has, and he recognizes them in her. And so, in creating their own family now, he wants a person with those character traits. That's an ROI. That's an investment model that has paid off. That's also positive attitude. That's the thing we talked about. Positive thinking. How do we reframe every situation? Going through their lives, and young people, everything's a disaster, everything's a catastrophe, everything is a crisis, mostly because they never experienced it before. So it's a first time thing. So when that happens, oh, I'm going to die from this. No, you're really not going to die from this. And we teach them how to get through that particular situation. And then we know that's one of your liabilities, perhaps. We make sure that that's in your investment portfolio because you know it's a liability of yours. And the meaningful work and the creating happiness, again, is the same thing. Make sure they have little jobs, things that they can do that are part of their life. Who are they? And then you put them into situations for meaningful work, for summer jobs, for work study programs, for internships. So they develop the concept of meaningful work. I highly discourage anybody taking a job just because you get health insurance benefits from that job. I discourage that, and thankfully, so does the Affordable Care Act now. And so, again, in the long term, all of these things are what you want to have them look at: lifestyle, smoking, alcohol consumption, the meals. It's the same products. It's just done differently when they're at that age as when you start to move down into the gracefully aging person. And you notice that portfolio is very balanced on either side. You don't have so many long term investments anymore because you're in the middle of your life. So you're equally balanced. You have short term and long term pretty much balanced now. Things have changed a little. You're going to look in the short term.
Hopefully, you have less stress in your life. I mean, I
Well,
don't know how
because
you
that
ever
should
end
be,
that.
because as you're moving along and you keep looking at your portfolio, you're going to make sure that I better reallocate. I better reallocate. If I have stress, maybe I don't have the right job. If I have stress, maybe I don't have the right relationships. So what I say in Gracefully Aging at 50, when you get to that age, take a look at your relationships. Ditch that guy, ditch that girl. Get one that works for you now. You know what works for you. Be happy the rest of your life. Make positive choices. You can liquidate that asset allocation and put that into something else. You can change that. You can do that with the help of a life coach or a psychologist, or just your portfolio advisor who knows you for many years may say it's time to reallocate that particular asset, because you're also going to be looking at your retirement. You're going to be looking at your money. You're going to be looking at, where do I want to be for the next half of my life, and who do I want to spend that with? And that is very important in your portfolio. And so that's, something that we're going to do an assessment of that. And then in the long term, you're still going to look at your diet. You're still going to look at your lifestyle, and you're going to look now at shorter work days, more leisure time. That does reduce your stress. Time to lighten your load in the 50s. We don't have to do all of that anymore. And sleep adjustments will come with that. We have some changes in our sleep patterns as we age, and certainly in menopause and postmenopausal, we do have a lot of issues around sleep. And
As hormones change. So
yes,
right
yes.
now we're looking at slide number 10, which is gracefully aging. And so those are really wonderful topics that you're discussing. I wish that we could be at a stage in the nation's health and in our individual health that we had already done 50 years of investment into the short-term portfolio, but in actuality, most people have not. And therefore, we're sitting in a situation where we have to kind of um, do this on the fly. We're stuck at this aging area, and most people have so many healthcare problems that they do need to invest to find counselors and support systems and make major changes.
Well, many cultures have done this model, and many families have done this model, and many people are on this wavelength. That's really important. In my understanding of life experiences and trends, usually it gets to that tipping point, and then everybody gets it. Now, I've been doing health portfolios for 25 years in my private practice. To bring it out now into community, well, over the last 4 years, I've had this out. No, just sort of now, people are going, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, so I think there's always timing, right? Timing is everything. And I see too with integrative healthcare now, with the medical doctors saying, it's right. We do have to look at other things like homeopathy, like acupuncture, like diet and nutrition, and incorporate it into our. So I think there is a tipping point. I know when I started as a chiropractor, we had a lot of problems with the medical community. And we were licensed providers, but they would say, no, you don't need vitamins. No such thing as vitamins. Diet doesn't matter. No, exercise does. Nothing like that matters. Well, now they know that it does. And now they have created a board specialty within medicine to embrace that concept. So don't give up, Debbie. It is happening. There are people doing it. The tide is a changing. And that's why I'm taking more of my time now and making an investment in giving this information and becoming a portfolio advisor to everyone else who would like to do that. And then I am training others to carry on that work. And so every single person now who comes into contact with me is getting to hear this story.
No, I do agree with you. I think that the awareness is now, it is really here, and even the medical community is embracing it, and they're looking for the integrative health. So we're just going to quickly, we have a little bit of time left. Slide number 11. I think you kind of covered that. Your portfolio will reflect the investments needed to ensure long-term care, such as fixed medical costs, durable equipment. I'm going to invest in a rebounder, by the way.
Oh, that's great.
Woo!
Lymphatic drainage.
Maybe I'll do a special on it and I'll jump for you.
Love it.
Doctor office visits, co-pays, deductibles, and insurance premiums.
Right, because this is not just for an investment portfolio, is not just to invest in the other complementary and alternative modalities, but it's to look at, listen, we have a sick nation. Most of our costs are with obesity and its comorbidities, chronic care of diabetes, and the congestive heart failure and COPD. These are the biggest money drains on us. So when we do a portfolio, we surely include things that are not, you have to have your healthcare premiums in there. You have to look at what it costs you each year for the copays. What does it cost you for the other things that are within the medical realm that you absolutely do need? And you have to keep a right eye on that and make sure you have enough money for that. This is where that story of bankruptcy from healthcare costs comes in, because people do not plan ahead for this. And if they planned ahead, they don't always have to get diabetes. That is a diet and lifestyle related issue. But when you, in fact, do have it, you have costs. So when you look and you bring your taxes to get done, you can bring your portfolio at the same time and say, okay, look, here's what I spent last year on medical costs. My health is getting better because I've invested in a constitutional homeopathic remedy. I don't eat like I used to. I changed my diet. I invested in exercise. I'm going to actually spend less now in my visits. I need less insulin. I've seen this happen. I'm sure you have in homeopathy. We are sometimes able to reduce our prescription drugs, or the maintenance of our care, and our emergency room visits, and our admissions to the hospital, because we've made. So these are factors you look at when you look at the same time you're preparing your taxes. You see what it cost you, how much did it really cost me, and now how much should it cost me this year, and let me take that money and put it away. That's what that means.
Okay, slide number 12. nearly 40% of Americans use healthcare approaches developed outside of the mainstream Western or conventional medicine for specific conditions or overall well-being. And you listed a whole gamut of those, from the integrative and non-conventional. Well, I consider them the ancestors of good health and have been there way before the what we call conventional medicine approach. Eating wholesome foods and getting out in an agrarian society, doing exercise, and not relying on sedentary lifestyle with the computer, the internet, and using all of our tools to remember everything for us. We had to actually use our mind to know how to. How I knew my husband's telephone number because I had to punch it in, but now I don't have to anymore. So I mean, it's using our mind, our skills, and our physical bodies to actually move. So I think you're right. Nearly 40% of Americans use other kinds of healthcare approaches now, and they're looking for them.
They do use them. They don't know how to integrate them with their medical care to make a full, whole package. They also don't know how to pay for them. So it's not just a matter of running into the vitamin store and buying today $300 worth of stuff or $20 here or $30 here, but making a horizon, your healthcare horizon, and investing and say, this is what I need right now, and I'm going to put that money aside. People often have fears around money and they don't want to know about it. They want to be oblivious. Ignorance is bliss. They don't really want to think about it. That's what I've noticed. And when you make the model like this, over the years, when I've taught patients all my whole life how to do this in their practice, well, it was about health, or sometimes it was about the woo-woo medicine, or sometimes it was natural stuff, so it's not so valuable. But now there's a different take on it. Now, again, when medical doctors are prescribing it, all of a sudden, woo-woo is good now. And all of a sudden, it's something they're saying to go and do. Well, then you have to do it. Then you have to go pay for it. The other thing I thought was very interesting in taking the fear and the pressure away from looking at a model like this is when I talk to CEOs of businesses, when the men get involved, they used to say, oh, that's just promotion, or why we have to pay all this money for organic food. Oh, now they look at the model in this way as a financial look-alike. Oh, they understand that. Oh, that makes perfect sense now. Oh, an ROI. It's very interesting, just in the way of making it like parallel play.
Yes, if you put it in terms of the dollar sign, you're going to be better off. On slide number 13, the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act recognizes this shift towards inclusion by providing for a new national healthcare workforce known as licensed CAM, complementary and help me out, and complement
Integrative
CAM
healthcare
means
practices. Yeah. So what that, go ahead.
providers and integrative healthcare practitioners. Yeah.
So what I want to say by this is that everyone, there are self-care techniques, but we do have now again in the Affordable Care Act a national healthcare workforce named, other than medical doctors and nurses that we know very well, licensed integrative healthcare providers and integrative healthcare providers who are certified or state certified or nationally certified, who have met a certain standard. That means we can now bring in to the law where they can practice in community health centers, in accountable care organizations, in patient-centered medical homes, and be reimbursed for them. That's coming up very well now. It's a little bit of a long road, but it's getting there. And these are practitioners like chiropractors, like acupuncturists, like massage therapists. Some yoga therapists are licensed now as well. And homeopaths are licensed in many states, and they're nationally certified in all states that it's all over the world. So these practitioners now are gradually getting included into the mainstream healthcare delivery system. They won't always be paid for their services yet, but that is coming up, and we're poised and ready at the threshold to meet that challenge.
Well, I hope that when I go to my doctor's next appointment, he will give me a prescription to go for acupuncture. And so on slide number 14, it shows the 10 most common complementary health approaches. And this is a chart from 2007. By the way, CAM stands for complementary and alternative medicine. And so the top one is the natural products. And I imagine that means supplements such as CoQ10 for your heart, resveratrol for your heart, um, and many of the other kinds of vitamins, herbs, and minerals that we take. Deep breathing, I can't believe that is the second one. That means people are realizing how important the oxygen is that they breathe, and hey, get on the bandwagon and petition for clean air. Meditation, chiropractic, that's your field, osteopathic, massage therapy, highly encouraged, especially if you have problems with your heart or getting out of bed, have somebody move your body for you. Yoga in every kind of challenge, that life challenge, or just for keeping your health. Diet-based therapies, progressive relaxation, that's kind of like a body scan, guided imagery, and yay, number 10, we're on the chart, is woo-woo, homeopathy. So it's getting into the mainstream.
Yes, it is. This is the survey from the National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine, which is that center that does research on complementary and alternative medicines that consumers are using to research for their safety. And very interestingly, this is a branch of our National Institute of Health. Very recently, Josie Briggs, the executive director, has put out a call to change the name of this center from National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine to the National Center for Integrative Health Care or Integrative Health. There are some names going around now, but this was proposed by Senator Harkins back in, no, I think it was 2009 at the IOM conference, and now it's coming to fruition. So you see, Debbie, things are changing. They're not going to only make it, we're not going to have to look at it as complementary to medicine, something only to big daddy medicine, it's only a complement to that, or alternative, but that there is an integrative pattern to using all of these, and in what cases are they best? And what research can we now develop to say, well, hey, homeopathy is extraordinarily efficacious in viral syndromes that medicine has no answer for, or in anxiety syndromes. And so we're going to start to now develop more and more research on these top 10 approaches so that consumers have a better awareness and ability to choose from them. But these are the products that I services that I invest in. Medicine has no answer for, or in anxiety syndromes.
Yeah, so I was getting for some reason, a feedback loop there. That's really, really wonderful. And I'll just throw out something else that I recently heard, and that is the People's Pharmacy yesterday had Dr. Gaylord on there, and he's not only an oncologist, but he gives his patients meditations, breathing, healing sound bowls, and all kinds of other therapies along with the chemotherapy, on even just giving them their diagnosis as a stress reducer. So there are many, many things that are going into the mainstream that aren't even listed on the 10 most common health approaches. We have about 3 slides left. Maybe we can get through them. Health insurance premiums. What is the cost for the health insurance premiums? High deductible policies offered on the state exchanges range from $2,500 to $6,000 in deductible costs that you must reach before your insurance coverage begins. Once your deductible is met, you may be liable for 50% of all costs up to a maximum of $10,000. On the chat, Dr. Bob was concerned about folks who are living in the poverty level or are not making that much in income to be able to even afford it. But I think that in a previous show, you might have been able to help or guide people who are in that situation with the Affordable Care Act.
Well, what I've seen happen with it, and this year has been a good model of that, particularly in New York State, are those states on the exchanges who have opted to expand Medicaid have been able to raise the bar enough to include working families who are working and who are making an income. So they've raised the level to meet Medicaid. So you don't have to be completely impoverished. You can actually be a fully functioning person or family that doesn't happen to make enough to buy into the exchange and get those type of tax subsidies. So I've seen Medicaid really work in New York.
Hmm.
So they
Okay.
have access and choice, and acupuncture is covered. Chiropractic is not, but acupuncture is. So hopefully they'll be including some more of these services. But I've seen that we're getting more access through the Medicaid
It's
expansion.
wonderful if there can be more and more proof that these kinds of integrative pro therapies will prevent having to go on medications or having major surgery or other things. This would be a boon to the healthcare, to what medical model we have today because we are so understaffed and overburdened.
Well, the
Slide.
integrative, let me just say this,
Go
Deb,
ahead.
the Integrative Healthcare Policy Consortium, of which I'm a member, a board member, and a member of the Federal Policy Committee, we're developing now a cost effectiveness brochure on all of the licensed modalities, licensed disciplines, and homeopathy to actually begin to shop to HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services, to give them this information on cost savings for these types of disciplines. So we're working on that right now.
And I thank you so much. You are right there ahead of the game. You knew what to say. Slide number 16, health savings account, created to relieve the burden of expensive medical care and to allow people the freedom to choose that's really, I love the word, freedom to choose the practitioner products and services of their choice that best meets their individual healthcare needs.
And this
I
is also
love
what
that.
the accountable care organization's reasoning was in the Affordable Care Act, was to make it person-centered and then to bring about what kind of practices, what kind of mix of disciplines it seems to get the best outcomes for this patient because they're not going to get paid anymore on fee-for-services. So they're going to get paid on outcomes. Did the person get better? So it's very important now to really individualize the patient's care, listen to the person, and start to begin to select from other disciplines, to learn about them and select from them so that we can actually get good outcomes. And so it's all coming together slowly but surely.
Nancy, did you want me to put the health investment portfolio, a common sense guide to health and wealth, available to folks who are on Homeopathy World Community? Did you want that to be free to them?
Yes, you can do that. Yes, that would be fine with me. You can make it a downloadable PDF and they can call me for a consultation.
Wonderful. So slide 17 tells you that at the end of that PDF, you're going to see about 2 pages. It's a health assessment risk form where you input, check mark on each of the different items based upon your daily, monthly, annual activities, your self-care, preventative care, evaluation of areas in your life, which we started to go through, whether you go to the doctor for checkups, for general health assessment. All of this is going to help develop your risk assessment. It's a super checklist that Dr. Nancy has provided. And so we have come really over time to the end of the show. On slide number 18, you can contact Dr. Nancy Gahles and I put her telephone number, her email, Twitter. She's Ask Dr. Nancy. She's
Which I
on
learned
Facebook.
from Debbie.
What?
I
You
learned
learned
my
from
Twitter from you in the
Yeah,
airport.
I'm the Twitter guru. Um, on Facebook, she's there too. Ask Dr. Nancy. And LinkedIn, you're Nancy Gahles. So you can reach her in so many different ways today. And I want to thank you. You want to say a few words before I conclude with what's coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Let me just thank you for your joyful attitude and your wondrous gift of this show, which I love and I think is so important. And I thank you very much for inviting me to be a guest.
Anytime, Nancy. So coming up, slide number 19. Next week, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. You know, every single thing is so fascinating to me. If you have any ideas or have a guest in mind, let me know. I wanted to talk potentially about fire retardants and the chemicals in them and what's happening in the world about that and what to do with your furniture and or what's happening in the world legislatively and in your home environment. Then also, I have been keeping up with the world of salmonella. That would be another thing that's happening worldwide and really is impacting anybody who goes to restaurants or buys chicken in the store or eggs. What's happening with that, and how homeopathy can help with salmonella poisoning. August 4th, Jeremy Scher is going to be coming online with us talking about AIDS in Tanzania. And August 11th, Dr. Dinesh on case witnessing in pediatric cases. August 18th are the Joshis. Everybody loves them on the sensation method. If anybody would love to help support Homeopathy World Community, we have awesome best values on HWC. Last week, we did a show with the creator, inventor of Sufficiency Vitamin C drink, which is terrific and tasty. The Complete Dynamics computer program, I just received a brand new update on that program. It is invaluable on my desktop. They have enhanced it to a master level, recently downloadable, so free trial, give it a try. Narayana Books, we have all kinds of listings right from Homeopathy World Community. So if you want to visit with us, slide number 20, we're on homeopathyworldcommunity.com. On Facebook, we have updates. I like to encourage people to listen to Alan Phillips on vaccine rights. He's actually on Mondays and Wednesdays on Blog Talk Radio. I'm no longer doing my Wednesday show, but all of the archives on Blog Talk Radio, there's like over 400 of them over the past 4 or 5 years. They're there. And in fact, yesterday I got an email from somebody who is listening to the Pet Show with Dr. Christina Chambreau and had questions for us about how to care for their chicken who had a bum leg and was just sitting around and not running around. So we are there and we do respond. Thank you to nissancommunications.com, slide 21. All of the archives on this show and every other show on Nissan Communications are here, both in audio version and video version. Please join us next week, and sending tons and tons of love and waves of awareness. Thank you, Amnon. Thank you, everyone, for joining in with us today. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, and if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. ThatVidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.